in the office here. There we go.
What's
Joe, how are you,
happening?
man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for joining us this week. How are you?
Yeah, of course. I'm good, man. I'm good. Just got done with the training session. It's been nice to get back on the field a bit. So yeah, feeling pretty good.
Yeah, let's start there, man. What's it been like back being in training? We'll dive into the history of Joe Willis and the past, the present, and the future. But let's talk about the present right now. How was training today? What's it like getting to be able to kick a soccer ball and save a soccer ball again?
Well, it's obviously we're doing the individual sessions, so it's pretty monitored, and there's only so much you can do as a goalkeeper by yourself. But it's nice to at least put the gloves on again. We've been doing a lot of footwork through cones and ladders, and we've been using some rebound walls to kind of serve ourselves and try to do a little diving, hit the ground a bit. So after 6 or 7 weeks of staying inside, riding the bike, and lifting weights on my own, it's nice to get out in the fresh air and actually get on a soccer field again.
Man, I can't even imagine. It must be like Christmas morning right now, getting a chance to go play soccer, and even if it's against a rebounder right now with no coaches around and whatnot. But what's it like? I found it fascinating as we get a chance to ask the players what it's like, this kind of unprecedented experience that you're going through right now of going out to training with so many protocols in place. The stories never get old, man. What's it like for you? What's kind of the normal when you get to the training ground for those who haven't heard? And then what are the kind of the steps that you take to be able to just get out on the soccer field and go kick a soccer ball?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. It's something that nobody has really experienced before, but I think guys are so excited, myself included, to be on the field again that, some of the protocols, we're more than happy to go through them. We show up at the parking lot and there's assigned spaces for everyone. You got to park several spots away, make sure that nobody's near you. One at a time, we walk up with our mask and gloves on, and we have our trainers there with the thermometer taking our temperature, make sure we're good to go. At that point, go to our designated quadrant of the field, as they like to call them. And yeah, we all get a workout program from the coaches. So, we know what we need to do and what our workout looks like for the day. And then we just get about our business. It's like I said, it's different and it's unique, but just happy to be back on the field. So if that's what it takes right now, then that's what it is.
That's cool to hear, man. It's unique, right? I mean, it's one
Yeah.
of what a weird time, but we're making the most of it, and glad we're taking the steps forward to get there. And for those that are in the comment section, keep the hellos coming for Joe. Get your questions in. We got the Q&A feature. Let us know where you're watching from, and if you're an old coach like Davey Arnaud or former teammate, make sure that you get your hellos in there as well. We see you guys sneaking in, saying hi. Everybody's a big fan of Joe Willis, and in fact, you're so big time. We even got you your own graphic. Look at that.
My own graphic, but
Look
you're
at that.
in the picture, so.
I'm sorry, I'll get the hell out of there. How about we'll do this? Since we'll start where your journey began here, kind of in Nashville. We'll get back to the early days, but how about this moment? The first moment you got a chance to come see the Nashville SC fans at the kit launch event. What was it like for you finding out that you were going to be coming here, and then your first impressions of Nashville, and then this moment here, getting to see the fans for the first time wearing a Nashville SC crest?
Yeah, I mean, the whole experience was pretty incredible. A new team and a fresh start is something that I was looking for in the off season, and when I got the call that I was being traded to Nashville, I knew that there was a ton of potential, and that the ownership group was very serious about competing from day one, and that the fan base was there. So to have that come to fruition, and then to actually get into Nashville, to go to the jersey launch party, and really physically see the support from the fans was incredible. That night really, solidified that this is a soccer town, and it was just great to see the excitement from all the fans. And it just makes everything that's going on so much more difficult because a lot of people here have been waiting a long time for MLS in Nashville, and now it's put on hold. But at least we have those memories of the first few games and the kit launch and all the excitement, and hopefully that stays around until whenever we start playing games again.
Absolutely. We'll talk more and more about that first night, the home opener, in just a minute. If you're just joining us again, Joe Willis, goalkeeper from Nashville SC, joining us here today. And Joe, let's go back to the beginning for you. You're born in St. Louis. They're going to be obviously getting an MLS expansion team here in a couple of years. Is that something that you thought you'd ever see? I mean, St. Louis, for those that don't know, is actually a hotbed for youth soccer. A couple iterations from the USL team has made its way through, obviously, St. Louis FC there now. So did you ever think there'd be a day, though, that, the city you were born in, St. Louis, would ever get an MLS team, and kind of your initial thoughts when they were awarded an MLS franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the back of my mind, I always knew that it would happen eventually. In what form, I wasn't sure. Obviously, like you said, they've had some different attempts at USL sides, and now to officially be awarded an MLS team is it's awesome. Being from the city, there's so many guys who've played in the league who have come from there, and there's so much history around soccer in St. Louis that the support from the youth level up through high school. I mean, I remember having high school games where there's just thousands of fans there.
Wow.
So to reward the people of St. Louis and give them a professional soccer team in the MLS, especially with the giant hole that was left when the Rams left. But we're not going to talk about that. But there's
sensitive.
There's certainly a market for another professional sports team, and with the history of the love of soccer that St. Louis has, I can't see anything but success coming from the new franchise.
Yeah, we'll hopefully get a chance to see them as they come into action in 2022 in the new stadium that Nashville is building, because that is the year, hopefully, that stadium gets all done. Early springtime for that. We got people saying hello. Hey, Joe. Got some Goalkeepers Union in here saying hello. NSC Gnome was saying that was an amazing night, talking about the jersey launch. All right, so St. Louis guy, you end up going to Denver University, who, by the way, the last couple of years have just had a meteoric rise with men's soccer. Jamie Frank's coming in there, taking over coaching staff, has done a great job there. You go to DC United, drafted in there in 2011, and then you had one of the most memorable first playoff appearances I think I've seen a goalkeeper ever have. Why don't you set the stage a little bit? It was you guys were playing. I'm trying to think. I know you played Houston in the next round. Who was the semifinal against that you came on against?
Against New York Red Bulls.
That's right.
The whole situation was so ridiculous. So we were playing New York Red Bulls. It was during, I want to say, Hurricane Sandy.
That's right. Yeah.
One of the hurricanes. And because of the weather, both East Coast teams, we were both affected by it. I believe we were supposed to have home field advantage, but because of the weather, they had to flip it. So we ended up playing the first game at home. We tied 1-1, I think. End up going the second game up to New York. Night of the game, there's a huge snowstorm. The field is just, there were like 2-3 inches. You had everyone and their mother were on the field. I think Don Garber was on the field shoveling the snow, trying to make it work. I know Ben Olsen, our coach, he really wanted to make it work. But at the end of the day, it wasn't the right time. So we had to wait another night. The next night, we were able to kick off. I wasn't playing at the time. We had Bill Hamid, obviously still there. And, I'm warming up, I'm watching the game, and all of a sudden I see a 1v1 and I see the forward go down, and I'm thinking, as soon as I saw him go down, the ref blew his whistle, and I'm thinking, okay, that's a red card. I'm going in. So I ran over to the bench, got my gloves and got my shin guards on, and Benny started walking to me. Usually when you make subs, the coach is giving you kind of tactical information, at that point, Benny didn't know what to say to me, so he was just like, "Well, just go have fun, go try and save it."
Because it's a red card penalty kick. Now you're thrown into the game, and here we
Exactly.
go. So then, on top of the weirdness, Kenny Cooper takes the penalty kick. First go
Yep.
at it. What happens?
Scores. I think I dove to my right, and he pretty much went right up the middle. And as soon as it went in, I was upset, but as a goalkeeper giving up penalties, I think the odds are against you. So, you're never too upset. Given the circumstances, I was pretty upset though. As soon as I get up, I look over at the ball, the ref's running, blowing his whistle. A bunch of people are crowding him. I'm like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but I think this is in our favor.
This could be good. This could be good for me.
Yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure Dax McCarty was one of those guys who was screaming in the ref's face. Apparently, some of their players encroached and had to take the penalty over again. Second attempt, I went left, ended up making the save. I think this was in the second half at some point. We were still tied 0-0. It might have been around 70 to 75 minutes. About 10 minutes later, Nick De Leon goes down, scores the game winner, and we end up advancing to the next round. It was trial by fire, to say the least. But it was an incredible experience, and definitely one that I'll never forget.
What a cool first appearance in the playoffs. And I mean, you talk about the highest of high, or the lowest of low, and then the highest of highs, and everything in between in like about a 2-minute span of real time. Pretty cool first experience for you in the playoffs there. And then obviously from DC, you end up going on to Houston, have some very good years there in Houston. And then at the end of last season, the trade is made. Zarek Valentine gets traded to Houston. You come to Nashville, and I know we're kind of just fast forwarding over the Houston area. Had some very good years in there. I remember always thinking, this guy, he's 6'5". I'm so happy I never had to play against you, because I don't know how you score on a guy that takes up the whole goal. So you end up coming here to Nashville. We talked a little bit about the first impression you got, but I gotta go first impression now of the very first game, the very first night. And I want to pull this image up because I think this has to be the moment that right before kickoff, what are you thinking about? What's being said? What's being talked about? All the hoopla for 60,000 people in the stands, and for an entire city and state. It's a big, big monumental moment leading up to this moment. What's being said in the huddle right before kickoff?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have a situation like that, an event like that, the nerves are through the roof with everyone. The energy is also through the roof. So there's a lot of incoherent yelling, to be completely honest. But generally, the message is, for the first 5 to 10 minutes, let's play it safe. Let's, let the nerves settle. And then once we start to feel the game a little bit, then we can, start playing. I think we had a good preseason, and we started to find a bit of an identity. So we knew that if we could just weather the storm for about 10 minutes and find our footing and let the game come to us, then we would be all right. At the end of the day, we obviously lost the game, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I think, we're not going to look back on it as a loss. We're going to look back on it as the first game in MLS history for Nashville SC, and the amount of people who were there, the spectacle of it all was just an incredible thing to be a part of.
Yeah, really, really cool moment. And that's I'm sure some of these shots are just bringing you back to a different. I mean, it's a different perspective, but it's also bringing you back, to that moment in time. And what a cool moment as a soccer player to get to experience, a club's first match. I mean, it's something that you don't get a chance to do very often in your career. And when you look back at that night, and you look back at this picture where you're getting a chance to play in front of the back line for the very first time, what are the memories that you have stored away in your memory bank when you look back to that night?
First and foremost, I remember it being pretty cold. Um, but I think the first time I came out of the tunnel for warm-ups, just seeing the amount of people who were there, the flags flying, the scarves up, it was a pretty intense moment. It's obviously a big stadium. I've never played at home in a stadium that big, that full. So it was, a new experience for me. But just seeing the amount of support and knowing that, the city has your back and that they're there supporting you and not in the other way around, it's an incredible experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible to be in there to watch it. I can only imagine being at it from your perspective, but probably something I'm sure that you'll never ever forget. And we
Yeah.
ask people to ask questions, and I think was it Lewin Benegas just asked a good question. If there was one piece of advice you could give to young goalkeepers who ultimately want to maybe play and be in that moment right there that we see on the screen, what advice would you give to some young goalkeepers?
Yeah, I think this is a very general piece of advice, and I think it gets hammered home a lot, and you can kind of ignore it sometimes. But it's so important and so crucial, is that hard work and having a good attitude is by far the most important thing when it comes to being a professional soccer player. I think talent can only take you so far, and at a certain point, it's about your mentality and the way you train, the way you take care of yourself, and just having a mindset that I'm not going to give up. There are going to be setbacks along the road. It happens, but taking a good attitude into training every single day and trying to make yourself better, trying to get better every day, even if it's a little thing. Maybe your weak foot isn't very good right now. Stay after practice and hit 20 balls with your weak foot. That one little thing is making you better. It doesn't have to be huge changes all at once. Just find little things you can do every day to make yourself better.
That's really good advice. And while we're talking about goalkeepers, for those of you that are familiar with Nashville SC, you'll recognize that face there. Matt Pickens, the goalkeeping coach, former Nashville SC goalkeeper turned goalkeeping coach. How's it been forming your relationship with Matt? Did you know him before you came here to Nashville? And kind of how's that relationship evolved between you two? Because goalkeeping coach and goalkeeping relationship is, from a player's perspective, it's one of the closest knit relationships between the player and the staff, but it's also probably the least talked about that, most people don't know. So how's it been with Matt? How's he been as a goalkeeping coach, and how is your relationship with him?
Yeah, it's been great so far. Matt's a Missouri boy as well. The first time we actually met was when I was in college at University of Denver. He was playing for the Rapids. Gary Smith was the coach. One summer, I was training with them for about a month. So that was really the first time I think it was 2010. Might have been the year they won the MLS Cup. I'm not saying that I had anything to do with it, but
I'm not saying that.
Exactly. But yeah, that was the first time and that's when Matt was pretty much in the prime of his career. So seeing him train at that stage was awesome, and getting to train with him was great. And even now, now that he's kind of transformed into a different role, it's been a good relationship. He's very open. He's, this is his first year as a full-time head coach. So, he's obviously got things to learn as to being a coach, but he's been very receptive to what we need as goalkeepers. I think that's incredibly important, especially at this level. You can always get better as goalkeepers, but when you get to the professional level, I think a certain degree is trying to taper things around the goalkeepers themselves. I'm not trying to sound like a diva, like it's all about us, the goalkeepers, but I think Matt's done a great job of asking us what we want and what we need, and executing it. And I think the relationship, like you said earlier, it's a very tight knit relationship. Oftentimes, goalkeepers, the four of us, it ends up being, are kind of just thrown to the side of the field, and we train on our own for about 45 minutes, and then we join the team. So yeah, you build relationships with those guys for sure, and it's been a great 5-6 months, however long it's been, since we started to really work together.
That's really cool to hear. And we asked people on Instagram and the story to get their questions in to you, Joe. And so we're going to ask them. And I think this one's perfect because it kind of alludes to the relationship with the goalkeeping coach, because a lot of it is tactical and it's working on your craft, but also so much of it is the mental aspect of being a professional goalkeeper and the relationship with the coach. And how can they foster that? So the question that we had from Dylan is, what are ways you stay composed and focused while prior and playing in big matches? Let's say like in front of 60,000 people in a home opener. You're talking about the nerves being so high. How do you stay so composed, and what are some of the things that make you just dialed in? Because I don't know if I've ever seen a goalkeeper that appears to be more dialed in than Joe Willis in the midst of a game.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's definitely something that I didn't always have, and something that I've had to learn over the years. But I think a lot of it comes from preparation. Like I said, working hard and having a good attitude day in and day out at training is a big part of it. But during the game, for me, a big thing is communication. I think a lot of coaches preach that to their players, especially goalkeepers, that communication is really important. But during the game, it's something that really helps me stay tuned in and stay connected to the game. Because there have been times, especially this season, with the way we keep possession and how excellent our defense has been playing, where I'm not involved in the game for 10, 15 minutes at a time. And people these days with the short attention spans, your natural reaction is to kind of tune out. So the biggest thing for me is just to try and continue to talk, to stay organized, not only to help the team if I can, but also just to keep myself tuned in.
Absolutely. And we'll keep you going with the hard-hitting questions. This one, you'd be surprised, by the way, how many of your teammates wanted to drop into the Q&A portion of this. The hard-hitting questions: favorite preseason dinner spot, and most importantly, favorite yogurt dessert place from one Taylor Washington. So I feel like there might be a story involved here. So you let us know, what was your favorite preseason dinner spot, Joe Willis?
Favorite preseason dinner spot had to be Chipotle, because it's just so consistent. And I was going through, I was trying to be a vegan during preseason, and the sofritas bowls at Chipotle are next level, like incomparable. That being said, I know that was Taylor Washington because that man went to Yogurt Mountain to get frozen yogurt at least once a day the entire preseason. Like, I don't understand how he didn't gain 15 pounds during preseason. It is unbelievable. And I went with him a few times, and I got to be honest, it was incredible. But yeah, he was there. I mean, he was there more than he was on the field.
That's pretty funny, actually. There's a couple more. We'll say the previous guest on this, Alistair Johnson, he asked a couple of questions in the chat as well. We'll get to some fan ones here too, because I think this is a good one. And we open up the show saying get your Q&As in, and this one came in just a couple of minutes ago. Kieran asked, best moment in your career. You're a 2-time Open Cup champion, one with DC, one with Houston. What's your best moment though in your career?
Those are definitely up there, but the single best moment of my career, was my debut in 2011. It was I was playing for DC. It was against Vancouver Whitecaps. We ended up winning the game 4-0. So to get a clean sheet was awesome. I think I made like 5 saves or so in the game. I had one pretty good one off a free kick that was very memorable for me. and I ended up getting named man of the match. Although I don't know if I really deserve to, considering we won 4-0. But yeah, that was, I mean, my first game in the league as a naive 22-year-old. To have that, I know that's not something that everyone can say. So that's something that, has always stuck with me as probably my favorite and proudest moment so far in my career.
That's an incredible achievement in the first game. If you would have asked me what I thought the best moment was, yes, the Open Cup championships were nice. Yes, man of the match in your debut. Would this moment qualify as maybe the best moment in your career?
That was a great save, by the way. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
So let's set the scene here. Late on, the team is down 2-1 in the home opener. Ball gets cleared up. The feeling Ezekiel Barco must have had when he looked up to see the train that is Joe Willis at 6'5", full steam ahead, coming to him at midfield. He chickened out, rightly so, chickened out of the first challenge. The ball finds its way back to him, and then he tries to lob it into an empty net. There are a couple players that are tracked back. You jump up and make this save, and look, we can talk about it, but why don't we just show it? So, Joe,
Yeah,
this moment. I've been dying to ask you this since February 29th.
yeah.
Walk me through this play. We're going to watch it again. What's happening here?
So, first of all, I should have been up in the box getting my head on the end of the corner to begin with. So I should never have been in that position. That being said, I was pretty far up the field knowing that if they cleared the ball, I was going to have to come make some attempt on it. So the ball gets cleared up. I see Barco running at it. I'm like, all right, I got to beat him to it. He starts pulling out. My initial thought is to just one time kick this ball as hard as I can. He starts pulling out. I'm picking up too much speed. I misjudged the ball. So I'm like, all right, I got to just get something on this. I'm going to try and knee this ball as far as I can. I end up missing it. Of course, it goes right to basically him. So as soon as I mess up the knee blast, I'm like, all right, I got to at least kick this ball out of bounds or something. He beats me to it, wins the ball. My next thought, you'll see here, beats me. My next thought is go back to the goal. And then I realized that he's got time and space, and he's probably, there's no chance I'm going to get back to the goal in time. So I turned around and I was like, I got to go back and just make another challenge on him. I got to foul him or do something. And then he starts winding up. So I'm like, all right, I'm jumping. Start to jump. And at that point, it's pure instinct. I think if I kept my hands at my sides, that ball's hitting me square in the face and probably breaking my nose. So at that point, it was just about survival. So I threw the hands up as a pure reaction. I knew the ref was going to blow the whistle, or he blew the whistle. I knew he was going to give me some kind of card. I figured if I just ran back to the goal, acted like it wasn't a big deal, then maybe he would act like it's not a big deal too and just give me a yellow. So, which is what ended up happening. But I got to give a lot of credit to Dax McCarty and the hamstring extension in that picture right there. It's fantastic. I'm surprised he didn't injure himself.
If only he wasn't like 5'5" to start with. You know what I mean? He could have got it. That's some serious ups. No, Dax is 5'8" on a good day. Yeah, he got his leg up there, and I'll be honest with you, it's a great play. And partly the teammates I think Walker had gotten back, and maybe Romney had gotten back as well too. So Drew Fisher, I actually think got the call right, because there were a couple guys. Barco wasn't going to score that from there. There were a couple guys back that were going to clear it out and be able to just trap the ball and go again. But that's a hell of a play in that moment, pal, to have your head on a swivel and come up and make that save.
I mean, I was very unlucky, and then I got very lucky. I screwed the play up, and then I was able to make up for it at least somewhat to help prevent a goal. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting moment in my career, and one that I'm not trying to replicate anytime soon.
I mean, enough time has passed. The statute of limitations on that one is good, so we can ask you about it now. I wasn't going to hit you up that next week going, hey, Joe, let's run through that one real quick. It was
don't worry. My wife is not shy at all about anything like that. So as soon as I saw her in the family room, she's like, "What were you doing up there? What happened?" Like, I'll talk to you about it later. I gotta just think about this for a little bit.
You had to know. I mean, you're so intense, and I know the reality is you're pissed you lose the game because you're the ultimate competitor. But at what moment did that turn funny for you? How soon after the game did it turn into, that was actually kind of funny looking back on it.
I mean, pretty much the car ride home. I mean, I was in the moment. I was like, I just thank God that none of the reporters asked me about it in the locker room. I had a few requests for interviews, and I was like, yeah, I know exactly what they're going to say. I know exactly what they're going to ask. I got to think of an answer. And I was like, I can't even think of an answer. I'm going to have to wing it. But they all just asked about the, experience as a whole. So I thank the reporters for being kind to me after that. But yeah, I would say once we got in the car and my wife was trying to figure out what the heck happened, I kind of just said, you know what, it's in the past. It's whatever.
It was hilarious. It had a good ending because you stayed on the field. You weren't suspended the next week, and now we're looking we can't wait to get you back on the field, man. However that takes shape, we're looking forward to seeing you play again, Joe. And I want to say thank you for joining us on this, man. You're a hell of a goalkeeper, and even better guy, man. Thank you for coming on, having a laugh, talking about your career from the beginnings all the way to where we are now. And man, it's hopefully we'll get a chance to see you in person sooner rather than later, man. It's I miss seeing you out there training and stuffing the guys like Dax and Dom and all the guests that we've had on this show. You're a hell of a goalkeeper and a great dude. And I always like to leave my guests with the last word. You get to take it anywhere you want. Anything you want to say to the fans, family, friends, anything, it's all yours, man.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you having me on. It's been fun. Other than training, I'm pretty bored at home, so I always got time to hop on a call or hop on anything and just talk about soccer. But yeah, I mean, last word. I don't mean to be a downer, but on a serious note, everything we're going through right now is pretty crazy. So just for everyone out there, please be safe. Take precautions, whatever you think is best. Listen to the CDC, listen to the guidelines. Just be smart about things, and let's not have a major setback because we all want to get back on the field. You guys want to watch sports and you want to watch movies where production's been halted. So, let's just try and do the right thing and get through this pandemic as quickly and safely as possible.
Absolutely. Really well said, man. And thanks to all of our essential workers, our frontline workers, everybody taking care of everybody. Thank you, Joe, again, for being on here. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much to you, the viewers, for watching, for interacting. And we had a great time with you, Joe. Make sure to check out Kelly at 6 o'clock on the team's Facebook page, Nashville Soccer Club. She'll be doing the 6 at 6, presented by Captain Morgan. For all of us here, Joe, thank you very much. My name is Jamie Watson. For all the viewers, we appreciate it. Joe, we'll see you soon. Take care, and we'll chat with you guys soon. Have a great night, everybody.